Hey guys, welcome into Fantasy Football Academy 2020. As always, I am your host, the Dean, and we're coming to you with 2 weeks. We almost there, guys. 2 weeks left in the regular season for fantasy football. Most platforms are going to start week 14, 15, and 16. Remember, if you're in a week 17, get out next year. Okay? Don't play the week 17 matchups, especially in this crazy COVID world that we're living in. Moving forward, it's not going to be a pretty picture, and some of the guys who led you to this point are not going to be available because they're either going to be locked up for their playoffs, so they're not going to be playing in week 17. They're going to be getting ready for that playoff run for their own team in reality, or they're going to be so far out of it that the team's not going to want to risk the chance of injury moving forward with week 17 in a meaningless game. They're going to try to see what they have and whoever's on the bench so that moving forward in the draft, they can actually know what positions that they need to shoot for. So, little dose of reality in with fantasy, but we're talking playoffs today. That's right. Channeling our energy more on playoffs. That's right. We're talking playoffs, guys. And I don't know about your league, but our league, it's starting to clear up a little bit. The top three positions are not really locked in. The top two positions pretty much there. It's just a matter of who's going to be one and who's going to be two. It's between Slutty Mutts and returning champ. And then we go into Hunter, Seas Cowboys, myself. And the last place is a little murky. So there's that battle to get into the playoffs that we're going to review here in just a second. I do want to remind you, it's Thanksgiving weekend, guys, the best football weekend of the year. You get more games on Thursday, Turkey Day. Hopefully, you're not in an industry where you have to work. You can kick back, enjoy, and if you don't want to go see the family, blame it on the CDC. That's right. They're recommending that you stay home and that you distance yourself from family. So don't want to answer those questions about why you're not married, how are the kids, how's the wife, if you are married, how's the wife, how's everything, this, that. If you don't want to deal with that, you don't have to this year. You just chill out and watch football. Sounds good to me. But regardless, have a good time with the family if you're spending time with them. Cherish the moments. Throw in a little FaceTime if you're not able to go in person and, check in with everybody. So, remember, there are no buys this week, but next week, this is looking forward. And remember, we're playing chess, not checkers. So we're looking ahead while everyone else is just looking at this week. So sometimes we have to look at the week in front of us just to get that win. But if you are in a position where you can look ahead and you don't have to battle just for this week, I do encourage you to do that. So looking ahead, we are going to lose Carolina and the Buccaneers. So the Bucs are going to be out. Carolina is going to be out. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like you're going to get Christian McCaffrey back anytime soon. Week 14 is going to be it. So if you are a CMC owner, you're hopefully going to be able to use him in the playoffs. If not, I don't know if you want to just drop him outright. Your trade deadline is probably passed. So keep him on your bench unless you want someone else to win the championship. But that's just me. Let's get into injuries real quick. We have a litany of injury reports, and we're also going to review the waiver wire pickups in preparation for your waiver wires going through either tonight. They may have already started. It's Tuesday morning, about 9 o'clock, getting a little late jump, but we had a little schedule change here at the house. So we're going to get into injuries. We're going to review the waiver wire pickups, try to get you ahead. And remember, this time of year, what you're looking for is guys who are desperate for wins, who are dropping guys who you might be able to use later on if you're in that position. Also, guys who are just upset, angry, just they're what we call tilt dropping. They've gone on tilt. They're just mad. This guy didn't perform the way he was supposed to, and they drop him in favor of the flavor of the week. So the flavor of the week doesn't always work out. The guys who are entrenched in their roles, those are the guys that you want to look after. So, of course, we talked about it earlier. Joe Burrow out for the year, torn ACL, MCL. So a Joe Burrow-less Bengals moving forward. So any defense going against Cincinnati, definitely someone that you want to target. Also, we've got Terry McLaurin popping up on the injury report. He's got a mild ankle injury, did not practice yesterday, but they have a short week. So he, along with Antonio Gibson, he was held out of practice. Everyone's thinking that this is just in preparation because it's a short week. It's against Dallas, and basically the winner of this game controls the division. The NFC East is a mess, just like the last place in our league of record. But whoever wins Thursday is going to get a boost in controlling the NFC East that apparently nobody wants to win. Can't say that I blame them, but it would be nice to get a title. Just saying. I'm good with not getting the draft pick. I don't know about Dallas. But yeah, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson probably getting rested ahead of Thursday's game. Julio Jones, if you guys watch the Atlanta game this week, you saw Julio going in and out. And it was, as a Julio owner in my other league, it's driving me nuts. He's got a hamstring injury. He's tweaked it a few times. They're putting him in and out. He was getting it checked on the sideline. He's going to wind up being a game time decision. Those are words that you never want to hear come out of the coach's mouth when it's talking about your player. So if you can pivot away from Julio, I would strongly suggest that you do so, because even if he gets in this game, how effective he is going to be highly in question. Zacchaeus, the other wide receiver, the third or fourth string wide receiver for Atlanta, is probably on your waiver wire. I do encourage that you go get him. Russell Gage, if you're in dire need, yes, go ahead. He did see some action, but Matt Ryan just looked horrible against the Saints, and it was just a bad game all the way around. And without Julio in the mix, it doesn't look like Ryan is himself. So, we'll see how that pans out. Also, Mark Andrews has re-aggravated a thigh injury from week 5. Week 5, we saw him go out, he'd got taken a hit in the thigh area. So he got a little rest. Now, remember, Thursday's games, you have, of course, Washington and Dallas. You have Detroit and Houston. Then you have Pittsburgh, Baltimore. The Pittsburgh-Baltimore game should be a defensive slugfest. I don't see a whole lot of points being scored in this, so I do caution you, if you need points, might want to pivot away from the receivers in this game. You might want to pivot away from Mark Andrews in this game. The run game is probably going to be where it's at. You've seen Baltimore's gotten hurt a little bit in the past few weeks on the defensive side, so they might be a little more susceptible to the run. So you might look at, if you have James Conner might be somebody that you want to put in. You probably didn't start him last week. And the week before that, he was a little disappointing as well. But this week, going against Baltimore with a dinged up defense might be a good play. But Andrews, I would definitely pivot away from him. Unless he scores a touchdown, he's not worth anything to you. We talked about CMC has that AC joint, doubtful. We're looking at a week 14 return for him. David Montgomery is in concussion protocol. He is trending up. He is someone to monitor. If you have David Montgomery and you're looking to start him, You definitely want to pay attention to this because he's playing Green Bay, and we all know, we've seen it before, Green Bay can be run on. Okay, you really can't throw against them, but you can run the daylights out of them. Joe Mixon he's on IR now, as opposed to being, oh well, he's hurt, oh well, he's dinged up. Now he has an IR designation next to his name with no Joe Burrow, no Joe Mixon. Basically, if your name is Joe and you play for Cincinnati, you're getting hurt. That's basically what we're seeing here. But yeah, Joe Mixon's gone. Giovanni Bernard has not really panned out the way that we hoped he would have. I know the way I hoped he would have, because I did go out and pick him up in my other league. But, we'll see. Now, quick note, and this is why walking away from big names, being able to walk away from them is so important. If you guys remember, earlier in the season, I actually traded for Joe Mixon prior to his big blow up 43-point performance. I traded for Darrell Henderson, who I've since traded for Derrick Henry. Not straight up, don't worry, I didn't go that far. It was T. Higgins and Darrell Henderson for Derrick Henry. If you like that trade, down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share for me, and let me know what you think about it. But I did pull the trigger on letting Joe Mixon go. Now, you guys all know, if you watch the show from inception, you know that during the draft season, I was not high on Joe Mixon, but I was hurting a little bit at running back. He was looking okay, and he was out there. He was the owner of Joe Mixon was willing to part with him. So when you have someone of that caliber, of that workload, and we saw that Joe Burrow was doing well, and that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting to see how Joe Burrow was going to do so that they would ease up on the run game. They would have to respect the pass. So when you have situations like that, and then you can go ahead and trade that for something else, if that Joe Mixon 43-point performance had have happened while I owned him, it would have been so hard for me to let go of a 43-point performance, what we call chasing points. You would constantly been chasing that production. This is the same thing that happens with Mark Andrews. We see the big name, we see the upside, we know that he's touchdown dependent, but he's a big name. Last year he did phenomenal. He was awesome. This year, not so much, but it's really, really, really hard to walk away from that name. But sometimes in fantasy, you have to pull the trigger on stuff like that. DeAndre Swift, also in concussion protocol. He is a Thursday night start versus Houston. Please, if you're a DeAndre Swift owner and you're thinking about starting him, please have a pivot. Remember, all your Thursday players should be in their designated spots, not in your flex. That way it gives you the ability that later on in the week, if God forbid something happened to your player, then you can plug someone into a flex position, as opposed to having your flex position already gone on Thursday and having to sub out someone in either your wide receiver or your running back when you really don't want to. So little tip there. But yeah, if you're a DeAndre Swift owner, you're monitoring this situation very closely. Wednesday is going to be the telltale sign. So tomorrow's injury report and prior to the game, I know you're going to be busy. I know it's Thanksgiving, but Thanksgiving fantasy doesn't stop for Thanksgiving. It gets revved up. Okay, guys. So monitor it. If you remember, you need to have alerts. You need to have subscriptions to multiple news outlets for sports, ESPN, NFL, the team that these guys are on. If you're on Twitter, you can go find me at FantasyDean20. Make sure you look me up. If you're on Facebook, make sure you go see one of my sponsors, Keller's Bakery in Lafayette. It's off the Youngsville Highway. It's 627 Lafayette Street. Remember, they do take orders through Facebook. Go find them. delicious. If you're looking for a last minute pie, go find them. Tell them the dean sent you. Get you 2 free cookies. All right. So we have a trio of Lions. First off, DeAndre Swift, the concussion, monitor that. Kenny G has a hip issue. Look to pivot from him because Matt Stafford is still dealing with a thumb injury. And we saw Matt Stafford have an abysmal time last Sunday. So I'm not really looking for him to be that much better. They are playing Houston, however. Houston's D has been a little suspect, but their offense, look for anyone in this offense to just go off. So if you have Cooks, if you have Deshaun Watson, I'm drawing a blank on their I'm sorry. How can I forget Will Fuller? Will Fuller, if you have him. Duke Johnson might actually be a viable running back option. So if he's out there on your waiver wire, go get Duke Johnson, plug him in against the Detroit. Maybe you're the DeAndre Swift owner and you don't have a pivot. Duke Johnson could be your pivot for this week. Kenny G, look to pivot for him. TJ Hawkinson, a little bit of good news. He was dealing with a shoulder injury and a toe injury, but he is trending up. So he could start even on a short week. Again, look for the practice report on Wednesday coming out of Detroit, whether or not to start him. Bit of bad news for all those Adam Thielen owners. He has popped up on the COVID list. Now, it is undisclosed at this time. All of my sources saying that it's not clear whether or not he tested positive or if he is just a close contact risk. But he is on the COVID list. Put up a monster 33-point performance in our league of record. Unfortunately, I didn't really want to see that because I really didn't want Charles to win. Yes, I'm being petty. So Adam Thielen, if you are his owner, Charles, talking to you, buddy, monitor this situation. If he is unable to go, make sure you have your pivot ready. Juju has a toe issue now. This is kind of funny because Juju apparently tripped on the weighted part of a flag, and how that happens, I have no idea. But he has popped up on the injury report with a toe injury. It was reported that he could have gone back in the game after he came out if they needed him. Apparently they didn't. So, but something to monitor. Good news for Niners fans. It looks like Deebo Samuel and Raheem Mostert and Tevin Coleman could all be available this Sunday. So if you have been stashing Raheem Mostert on your IR list, make sure that when he gets designated, when he gets activated from the IR, that you plug him back into your lineup, especially this time. If you're looking for him, I know I don't normally recommend that you start a player first game right off injury, but we saw what CMC did on his first and only game back from injury. Put up 37 points. It was crazy. So with Raheem Mostert and the way that backfield has just been jumbled and messed up and flip-flopping all over the place, definitely something to monitor whenever he gets designated. And the coach speak here drives me nuts because Kyle Shanahan is saying that he is hopeful that Deebo and Raheem and Tevin Coleman will all be back. So we're hoping that your hopeful leads to an activation. Brandon Ayuk, sorry guys, I got to bring bad news again. He's back on the COVID list. So if you're relying on Brandon Ayuk, maybe you should have had Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk should have been your pivot for Deebo when he went down. So hopefully you can replace Brandon Ayuk with Deebo Samuel. I'm trying really hard not to sneeze because we know that anytime anyone sneezes anymore, nobody has a cold, nobody has a flu. Apparently, COVID is the cure for everything. I don't understand it, but it just is. Everybody has COVID. Nobody has anything else nowadays. Chris Carson has a foot injury, but could return week 12. Now, Carlos Hyde, with his performance from this past Sunday, we saw him just dominate. So I don't know if Pete Carroll and Seattle is going to be all that jazzed to get Carson back rapidly. They're going to make sure that he's 100%. But if he is 100%, if he is able to go, it probably will be a timeshare between he and Carlos Hyde. Rashad Penny is also supposed to be back off injury reserve. What does this mean? This means that DJ Dallas, all those guys out there who picked up DJ Dallas, great run, good job, it's over. I'm not saying drop him outright because you never know what's going to happen, but he's definitely back on your bench, and whoever you need to put back in there, take a look at it. It won't be Mark Ingram or J.K. Dobbins. So adding to my waiver wire pickup, Gus Edwards is the man. Look, if you're out there and you need running back help, Gus Edwards is it. J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram on the IR list, on the COVID list. They both tested positive. Now, with them testing positive, we're talking 2-week minimal. Okay. I'm sorry, I believe it's 3 weeks. So whatever schedule they have coming up, you need to take a look at it. I know they got Pittsburgh this week, not really favorable, but I think if I'm not mistaken, the remainder of their schedule, and let's go ahead and we'll screen share here. And let's take a look. I know that I myself have Baltimore's D, so we can check that out real quick. Yes, I'm carrying 3 defenses. Don't judge me. And I'll tell you why in just a second, guys. So, see Baltimore's D. Yeah, they get Dallas and then Jacksonville, and then everybody should be back for the Jets. But the Dallas game on Thursday night, if Gus is able to go against Dallas, fire him up. Okay. Teddy B, we need to monitor that situation. PJ Walker right now is the starting quarterback. But if Teddy B can go, fire him up. If you need some help at QB, no, as I said before about Matt Stafford's still dealing with the thumb injury. I don't know if you guys ever had a hurt thumb or you tried to throw a ball or grip a ball, but you kind of need this to throw the ball, especially if you're a quarterback in the NFL. He has had no setbacks in his treatment, but we saw his performance on the field. I really don't trust it. And if you have a better option to pivot from, if you need a streaming quarterback, maybe week 13, you're losing Brady. We'll see. Philip Rivers apparently dealing with toe injury. I watched a little bit of this game as well. He did not look good. He looked hobbled. Jacoby Brissett had to come in a lot, probably a lot more than Indianapolis really wants him to. But something to look for if you're thinking about pivoting to Philip Rivers. I do suggest that you find someone else, possibly Alex Smith, if he is still available in your league, going up against a Dallas D that is definitely susceptible to the pass. So, one more bit of good news, and this has been a long time coming. This is why I saved the best for last. Austin Ekeler, that's right, Awesome Ekeler, is due to return this week against Philly. Can you think of a better way to return? Come on now. So seeing the week 12 return against Philly. Let's see. I'm just checking something real quick, guys. Excuse me for just 1 second. I just want to make sure I've got my, oh, I'm sorry. This is the Bills. Sorry, guys. He's going up against the Bills. I was thinking, I was like, wait a minute. Seattle's going up against Philly. It's hard to read my own handwriting sometimes. I'm left-handed. Sorry. Forgive me. But yeah, return against Buffalo. So any of those, all those who have been stashing Austin Eckler on your bench, congratulations. You can finally roll him out with the number 8 quarterback in fantasy, who hopefully will find out what it is to dump down to a running back. Having Justin Herbert on my squad, I would love for this to be a reality, not just fantasy. So with that said, I want to review real quick the waiver wire pickups. Remember, guys, tight end has looked abysmal. Defense, I got a couple of guys I want to bring up for defense. The Giants, Seattle, and Cleveland. They have looked absolutely phenomenal. Let's go to share. We'll take a look real quick. So Cleveland has already been taken in our league of records, so they won't pop up here. But the Chiefs are out there against Tampa Bay. Seattle going against Philly. Philly just got smacked around by Cleveland last week, so good job on anyone there. And then Seattle, let's see, Seattle gets Philly. And then let's see. I already took, I took the Giants. Yes. The Giants get a Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengal team. That is why they are plugged into my lineup this week. So there we go. So we got a couple of tips there for defense. For quarterback, you're going after Daniel Jones. He's going against Cincinnati. Then he gets Seattle. So if you need help at quarterback, Daniel Jones can definitely help you out. Taysom Hill, amazingly, he looked amazing. He looked, like what they needed. So looked like the game plan was there. If you're an Alvin Kamara owner, you absolutely hate this because Alvin Kamara actually had a game, first time ever in his career, where he did not catch a pass at all in this game. And that's because Taysom Hill and the game plan just don't warrant that. Now, I will make I did speak about DJ Dallas in my previous video. That was before the Chris Carson news broke. With Chris Carson coming back and Carlos Hyde coming back, DJ Dallas becomes a stash only. And we also, and remember, I did give that disclaimer that only valid if Hyde and Carson are both out. David Moore, another Seattle Seahawk going up against Philly, the Giants, and the Jets. He could be scripted out because this game is going to get out of hand. These games are going to get out of hand quick. Josh Reynolds, if you need help at wide receiver, he's been getting a lot of use as well. MVS with Green Bay, strictly an insurance policy in case something happens to Devontae Adams. But that is a rundown for waiver wire pickups of the week. Remember, monitor your transactions in your league. Make sure that you can find those gems that other guys want to discard. Remember, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Okay, this comes from a scrapper. Okay, I will pick up damn near anything of use on the side of the road if I can use it here at the house. So with that said, I hope that all of you have a very happy Thanksgiving. Don't worry, I will be back tomorrow with my start sits. and then we will bid you adieu for the weekend of Thanksgiving. Guys, remember, we're playing chess, not checkers. Good luck in your playoff run. And if you need a little help, you can find me on Twitter at FantasyDean20 for any of your fantasy questions. Also, down the bottom, subscribe, like, and share. My boy Pez is out there. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you got any questions running into your playoffs. He's doing very well. He's 7-3 currently in his league. So good job. Glad to hear it. Leave me some of your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Till next time, I'm the Dean. This is Fantasy Football Academy 2020. I'm out here, guys.